Hello everyone and welcome to PJ Plant Talk. My name is Winter and today we'll be talking about Hoyas. Specifically, we'll be talking about 5 Hoyas in terms of neediness, growth rate, and prop potential. I have a couple examples here of the plants that I'm going to show and some props that I've taken of them, and I will be talking about like how long it took them to root, how long it took them to start a growth point, or how long it took them to die. So first Hoya I'll be talking about is my all-time favorite, the Hoya Curtisii. I used to have this trailing on the bands here, but it just wasn't growing fast enough, so I'm just trying to let it trail. Maybe gravity will help. These guys are really easy. I always squeeze the little leaves to tell when you need to water them, and this is what they look like when they're by a west-facing window getting all sun stressed. And this is a little cutting that I took that is just under a normal grow light, probably not too strong. As you can see, it's like very green. In terms of neediness, I'd give this guy a 1.5 or 2, just because they do like some bright light, but don't need to be watered too often. Don't really need high humidity. Like this guy doesn't have any high ambient humidity, and it has just aerial roots just all over the spots. And I water it like once every 2 weeks once the little leaves are a little squishy, kind of raisiny. In terms of growth rate, I'd give this guy a 2 out of 3. Now that I've have it cascading, because it's been putting out a new set of leaves like every few days from all these growth points, so it's just constantly growing. Hopefully it'll be like a curtain of Curtisii. And in terms of prop potential, this guy is a 3 out of 3, just because it has aerial roots everywhere. You can just take a cutting from anywhere here, and these aerial roots will just root super easily, super fast. Even the propagations have aerial roots. Like, you can literally just propagate from a propagation. So, Curtisii, little baby right there. Next one that I have is this Hoya Crimson Princess. I used to have it in a little 4-inch, then upgraded to 6-inch, now it's in an 8-inch pot. It used to be trellis, but I figured it looks much better if it kind of covers the pot with some of the splashes of white and pink. This big girl, I'd probably give her, in terms of neediness, a 0 out of 3. She really doesn't need a lot. I usually water it when the leaves are pretty wrinkly. Like, these guys are usually really rigid and hard when they're recently watered. I have her like on the corner away from a west-facing window, and she was giving only a little bit of light, but is starting to give more pink on these top ones. So in terms of watering, water probably once every like 3 to 4 weeks once the leaves are kind of soft. In terms of growth, doesn't really grow too fast. It does have growth points all around, but it takes a while for them to activate and to start growing. Like, you kind of see some of the spots on them. It takes a while for them to kick in, but a lot of light kind of helps them, so maybe that's why it's not doing too well. And in terms of prop potential, this guy is like a 2 out of 3, just because you can take cutting from anywhere. It won't really hurt them. Root them, and you just got a bunch of babies like everywhere. Like, I have so many. Take them away from me. Oh my nose. You got an itchy nose? It's probably just because of the dust of the leaves. Third one is my favorite in terms of visual strikingness, just because of how different they are from their original. This is a variegated version of an australis, Hoya australis. And this is the Lisa variety, so it just means it has like inner variegation, mostly upright.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds.
You know, so this one's cute. I love that all the new leaves will come in like super bright red, sometimes kind of mellows out, but if you give them a lot of light, they'll get really red and pink. And they do need a little bit more light, and I'd say some higher humidity than some of the other ones, just because these ones are a little bit more thick and shiny. These ones are a little bit more flimsy, so if you give them too little humidity, I've noticed that some of mine have started to crisp on the edges. So in terms of neediness, this guy probably gets a 2 out of 3. In terms of growth rate, this guy's actually pretty fast. So growth rate, probably 2 out of 3.
What's up, Doc?
In terms of prop potential, this guy is probably a 2 out of 3. They are really easy to propagate. You can just chop anywhere along the stem, probably above a node, and they will root really, really easily. You can like see them everywhere here. Look at how big it is. It's already bigger than the mama plant that I took it from. Like, look, they're kind of the same size, and this one's only 2. They're really easy to propagate, but you do have to let them callus a little longer. I've noticed that these ones kind of bleed a little bit more sap, and if you don't let them callus long enough, they will rot. So I've had to kind of let them callus longer or have the risk of it rotting, so you just kind of have to chop longer and longer up.
Our 4th plant.
My 4th plant is going to be a Hoya kerrii, heart Hoya, Valentine's Day scam, let's call it sometimes. This guy is beautiful. Look at these hearts. Look at the variegation on it. This one's a variegated one. I do have a non-variegated one. They also look kind of cute. Some of them are a little splashy. Their kind of segments on the stem are super close together, so it's kind of hard to find anywhere to chop them. So let's talk about the neediness. These guys need a lot of sunlight. If you want to keep the variegation, some of the older leaves, you can tell that I didn't have enough sunlight, so. And then you gotta realize that if you give them a little too much light, they're gonna start burning. So, you know, you gotta have to find the right balance with them. So in terms of neediness, probably like a 2.5 out of 3. Also love high humidity. I have mine inside the greenhouse. It's the only place that stopped rotting away and dropping like the next leaves. In terms of growth rate, this guy is very, very slow. Now that I've got like the right humidity and right lighting, it's starting to give me like consistent leaves. Like you can kind of see a couple leaves there if I'm not gonna accidentally tip it over. It's been doing great now in terms of growth rate, probably like a 1 out of 3. It does grow. It won't take like an eternity to grow, but when you do take a cutting off of it, expect to wait at least like 5 months for the growth point to activate, because in terms of propagation, this guy probably gets 0.5 out of 3. Just because they do come in like kind of close compacted segments in a stem, so it's kind of hard to take a cutting out of them. And when you do take a cutting, it takes a long time for it to finally callus over so you don't accidentally rot it. And then it takes a long time for it to actually root and then to activate. I took these guys 6 months ago, so wish me luck. And my last one, I'm just gonna start it here. This guy is a 0 out of 3 prop potential because I don't have any examples. It's my Hoya compacta variegated form. As you can see, there's like this area where I clearly took a chop. It was a long stem. It all ended up rotting. I couldn't take a propagation, so prop potential 0 out of 3 starting it there. Neediness, I had to kind of balance out the lighting, watering, and the humidity. So this guy probably like a 1 out of 3, no. 2.5 out of 3, maybe 3 out of 3 in some cases. Just to get it to even start growing, you have to get the right light, watering, and humidity. And in terms of growth rate, a 2 if you have really good lighting.
What's up, Doc?
Look at this little guy right here. It's got a lot of little leaves there and stuff, so it takes a while for them to grow. And the fact that these are like so wrinkly, it takes a long time for those little leaves to finally kind of mature into its little hard self. These guys are just so rigid that you can accidentally break them, crack them. Be careful with these guys. This guy is probably going to stay the size for like the next 3 years, so sure. I know I trash talk this guy, but it's just so beautiful. Look at how nice the leaves come in, like that dark pink and nice white. If you have them like right up on a grow light, they do blush super nicely, really pink. Like, this guy is stunning, don't get me wrong, but I can't take a cutting. I can't share with anyone. You know, I love free potting my plants. I love trellising them, but this guy is just gonna stay this size. But it is one of my top Hoyas. She's also kind of like a little to take care of, so. Now that we've talked about all my Hoyas, trash talk a couple of them, just wanna say Hoyas are amazing. They come in all varieties, all colors, all sizes, all levels of neediness, growth rate, and prop potential, so just know that there's a Hoya for everyone. So go ahead, get out there and find a Hoya.
Never give up!
And if you've enjoyed this Hoya-centric video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Bye.